A pleasant good evening and welcome to the Woodland Hills Wolvarena, the Turtle Creek home of your Woodland Hills Wolverines. Woodland Hills finally comes to the friendly confines of the Wolvarena for their home opener, stepping out of the Southeastern Conference to take on the Shaler Titans. Woodland Hills is 2-0 and 2-0 in the Southeastern Conference after a 33-31 victory over Bethel Park on the road a week ago. Meanwhile, the Shaler Titans are 0-2 on the year, and they are 0-2 in the Northern 8. They come off of a 31-0 loss against the Central Catholic Vikings. And now let's bring in Fred Guy. And Fred, what's so noticeable about Shaler is they have some offensive weapons, but they have yet to score a point yet this season.
Yeah, but the teams they have played are no slouches at all. I believe it was Pine Richland week 1, and then Pittsburgh Central Catholic on week 2. Two explosive teams with good defenses.
Well, Woodland Hills, their defense was tested at times a week ago. And part of the issue, Fred, was that their backs were against the wall very, very often. Woodland Hills set a new program record for turnovers in a single game with 6 giveaways.
Yeah, but with any Wolverine, when they're backed into a corner, they're going to fight and claw and do whatever they have to do to get themselves in a situation. And that's exactly what Woodland Hills did. Being down 11 in the fourth quarter, they were able to fight their way back with a touchdown reception by Art Tompkins and then a 75-yard kickoff return by Art Tompkins.
And to talk about Art Tompkins, the problem is he's not available for this evening's game. He's not in the lineup, so a lot of the weight on the offense is going to fall back on Miles Sanders, who has 200 yards rushing this season, but a lot of the Wolverine offense is going to have to run through Jeremiah Jones, who struggled at times last week but never put his head down and helped lead the Wolverines to the victory.
Yeah, Heaven Price, number 1 wide receiver, and Isaiah Brooks, number 10, another wide receiver. They're really going to have to step up their game in place of Art Tompkins this week.
Well, expect both of those receivers that you talk about taking some end arounds, and of course Stephon Hawthorne is one of the receiving threats for Woodland Hills. So we take a look here in Turtle Creek. Across the field are the Woodland Hills Wolverines. They wear their home black uniforms. Black jerseys, black pants, turquoise blue numerals and lettering with the white trim, the turquoise blue helmets with the menacing ears and stripes. Along the near sideline are the Shaler Titans. They wear their road white uniforms. White jerseys, white pants, blue numerals with the red outline, blue helmets with Titans emblazoned on both sides of the helmet. Captains heading to the middle of the field for this non-conference matchup. And Fred, it's really good to see the Wolverines back in Turtle Creek after starting 2 weeks on the road. They were able to handle Peters Township pretty easily, but they struggled a week ago, as we've already talked about. And I'm sure they're happy to come home and get things settled for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's always nice when you don't have to go on the road. You don't have to fight the traffic. You know, you're in the friendly confines of the Wolverena. It's just one of those situations where, you know, despite Shaler's 0-2 start, they really can't overlook them because, like you said, they have some offensive weapons.
Next week, Woodland Hills will take on Baldwin here at the Wolverena. Kickoff is scheduled for 7:30 p.m. And as always, we'll have the coverage for you here on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Woodland Hills has won the toss, and they have elected to defer. Shaler will receive, and they will defend. And Woodland Hills has decided to defend the scoreboard end zone to our left-hand side. Thank you for joining us here all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. No matter where you are, whether it's on the radio, on the internet, our cable radio broadcast, or our live video stream. Take a look at the conference standings. Woodland Hills 2-0. Right behind them are the Penn Hills Indians, who are also 2-0. Mount Lebanon 1-0 in the Southeastern Conference, 2-0 on the year. Upper St. Clair has split their first 2 games of the season. Baldwin is 1-1, but they've yet to play a game in the Southeastern Conference. Bethel Park is 0-1 on the year in the conference, and they have yet to win a football game in this early season. Cannon Mackey and Peters Township both 0-2, both overall and in the conference. Kicking off for Woodland Hills is John Leone, and back deep for Shaler. And unfortunately, the Titans gave us a alphabetical roster, so it's going to be difficult to find players throughout the evening. Robert Reinheimer is one of the deep backs, as well as Timothy Nickel, and those are the 2 offensive threats that I mentioned before the game for the Shaler Titans.
And Timothy Nickel, if he's not getting the ball at least 20 times today, it's going to be a shame because he is a big bruising back at 6'1", 220 pounds.
John Ladon pacing the near sidelines, the head coach of the Shaler Titans. First time we've seen Shaler since 2005 here at the Wolvarena. Woodland Hills played Shaler 2 years in a row in 04 and 05. And John Leon, the kicker for Woodland Hills, sets the ball, gets the signal from the referee at the end line, and we are underway in Turtle Creek, PA. The ball bouncing to the 35-yard line on the return for Shaler. Up to the 38-yard line is Randy Cow, and Cow is brought down on the play by Namon Johnson. 1st and 10 for Shaler. The ball at the 38. 5 seconds into quarter number 1. Again, Shaler with the ball, 1st and 10 at their own 38-yard line. Quarterback under center, high backfield behind him. The handoff will go to Reinheimer, the fullback. Correction, the ball carrier was number 34, Anthony Zelina. And Zelina brought down a yard deep in the backfield. 2nd down and 10. And the handoff this time goes to Timothy Nickel, and Nickel is brought down at the line of scrimmage. A pair of Wolverines there, including Jordan Lee, and that's 3rd down and 10.
And that's a great way for Woodland Hills defense to start this game. The first play, Shaler tried to run a little bit of what Bethel Park was so successful with the quick fullback hitter. Woodland Hills was not phased, not looking for that play. Second play, another great play by the defensive line and linebackers to stop the running game.
Taylor Baca, the quarterback in the shotgun, sidecars to either side. 3rd and 10 for the Titans as he drops back, looks to his right, has a receiver open, and the ball hangs up in the air, and the ball will fall out of the hands of the intended receiver, Robert Reinheimer. Reinheimer had gotten behind the Woodland Hills D-back along that far boundary, but as the ball hung in the air, that D-back was able to retreat and knock it away. Javon Bryant Stallworth on the coverage for Woodland Hills.
And that was great recovery speed by Bryant Stallworth to get back to Reinheimer to force that incompletion because, like you said, Reinheimer had a step and the ball was well thrown by Baca, but just was the receiver was just unable to come up with it.
Patrick Tavadas on to punt it away. A reserve lineman for Shaler. Snap a little high, but Tavadas is able to get it away. Sky-high punt to the near sideline. Wolverines call teammates away, and that ball looked like it was going to take a Shaler bounce before it was covered up by a Titan. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills. Good field position at the 44-yard line. And that's the way the Wolverine defense wanted to start, 3 and out.
Yeah, that was an excellent run defense by the defensive line and linebackers, good coverage. A poor punt by Shaler. I understand why you're trying to do that. You're trying to angle it away from one of the best returners in the WPIAL. But you still got to give your team a little bit of breathing room against this Wolverine offense.
Pro set backfield for the Wolverines. Looked like Jones was going to step under center. Now he's in the shotgun with sidecars to either side. He'll hand off to Joel Shaw. Shaw runs left, hesitates, pushes his way forward and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Tackle on the play by Cody Gregor. And Gregor on the tackle. Half a yard gain for Joel Shaw. And Shaw didn't hit the line of scrimmage like we're used to seeing him do there, Freddie.
No, and Gregor did a great job of holding on for dear life against Shaw. I mean, Gregor's listed at 5'7", 170, and we know Joel Shaw is a lot bigger than that.
Again, shotgun formation with sidecars to either side. Handoff, Miles Sanders dancing his way forward inside of Titans territory. He lost the football, and Shaler scoops it up at the 46-yard line, and another Woodland Hills turnover. That is 7 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it looked like Miles Sanders didn't even, it looked like somebody must have slapped the ball out of his possession because he wasn't hit. He was still standing straight up when that ball came out of his possession, and luckily for Shaler, they were able to fall on it.
Yeah, Miles Sanders, as he crossed the midfield stripe, had the ball knocked away by Timothy Nickel. Then it was recovered by Shaler at the 46. So again, Woodland Hills turning it over. So Shaler will have the football, first down and 10 at their own 46-yard line. 9:53 to go in quarter number 1. We are scoreless here in Turtle Creek. Shotgun formation for Baca. Baca, dump off screen there, and he looks for Anthony Zelina, and the pass is incomplete. That brings up second down and 10.
And Baca was under some pressure by number 44, William Fletcher. Just came right off the edge, and poor throw by Baca because he had a wide open target, and they could have got a first down out of that.
Shotgun formation again for Baca. Baca 0 for 2 in the air today. Sidecar to his left in Timothy Nickel. Trips to the left. Slot back moves twice, but he's able to set before the snap, and now a flag will fly, and I think it is going to be delay of game. Either that or the flag actually did not come from the back judge. It came from both the referee.
The offense, 5 penalty, second down.
So the false start against Shaler gives the ball back to the 41-yard line, where it'll be second down and 15 for Shaler.
You know, this has to be one of the toughest 3-game stretches for any team in the Whippeal right now. You got Pine Richland, Central Catholic, followed by Woodland Hills.
Draw a hand off to Nickel. He bounces off the first wave of tacklers, still on his feet, and then he's driven to the carpet. Big Dan Gibson, among others, on the tackle. Down at the bottom of the pile, we see Damon Johnson, and also in there was William Fletcher. And a loss of 3 on the play brings up third down and 18.
And give Nickel some credit of trying to get away from the Woodland Hills defenders, but he just couldn't crack he got past the first and second wave, but sure enough, that third wave was going to get him for sure.
Again, the shotgun for Taylor Baca. Sidecar to his right, trips to the left. Baca with a hard count. Looks left the whole way. Throws. A Wolverine may have gotten a hand on it, but the pass is complete. And a nice pickup on the play of about 11 yards, but that'll still bring up fourth down and 7. The pass completion to number 6, Edward Wincoop. And again, Shaler's on to punt. A high snap. And the Titan punter just gets it away, and he boots it into the Titans band along the near sideline. And I understand you want to play keep away from Stephon Hawthorne and Miles Sanders, but that is a bit extreme.
Let's just hope Woodland Hills does a lot better on this second drive. Ball control. I mean, Coach Novak can't stress that enough, especially after last week's debacle, which, you know, in my mind took away from a great defensive effort by this Wolverine defense.
Back split to either side of Jeremiah Jones. 2 receivers to his right. Jones looks left instead. Pass is complete. Stephon Hawthorne on the reception. And Hawthorne is wrestled to the turf along that far boundary at the 44-yard line, a pickup of 7.
And if you're going to get comfortable in this passing game, this is exactly what you need to do. You need to get Jeremiah Jones, get him in a rhythm with some short 5-yard outs, slip screens, whatever the case may be, before you start chucking the ball down the field.
Second down and 3 for Woodland Hills with the football at their own 44. Motion man from right to left is Heaven Price. Handoff will go to Miles Sanders. Sanders to the near boundary. Has the first down. The ball came loose before Sanders went down. Everybody's pointing that the Titans have the football, but when Miles Sanders went to the turf, he was the one with the ball in his hands. So the ball may have come loose momentarily, but he got it back, and it is a first down for the Wolverines.
You know, if Miles Sanders has one weakness in his running game, it's the fact that he carries the ball typically in the wrong hand. Looks like on that play he actually had the ball on the outside arm, which every running back knows that's exactly what you should do, but he's keeping it away from his body, and that's gonna increase his factor of fumbling if he continues to do that.
8-yard pickup for Miles Sanders. Handoff Joe Elshaw. He bobbles the handoff, but has room to his left-hand side, inside of the 40, the 35 on a stiff arm, to the 30, far boundary, 25-20, and out of bounds inside of the 20 at the 18-yard line. And the big guy was rumbling.
And that's exactly what he needs in terms of confidence. Like you said, he was bobbling the ball as he came to the line of scrimmage, but once he secured it, he got some excellent blocking downfield from his linemen and wide receivers and was able to pick up substantial yardage.
Now the official along the far sideline says Shaw did not get inside the 20. They'll mark him out at the 21-yard line, but it's still a very good pickup of 27 yards for Joe Elshaw. Shotgun formation again. Two receivers to the left of Jeremiah Jones, sidecar to either side. Motion man this time, Heaven Price. He'll take the handoff on the end around. Price looks for the cutback, has a crease. He'll be brought down right around the 15-yard line, a pickup of 6 for the Wolverines.
You know, I thought Price should have been a little bit more patient and follow Joe Elshaw, who is a huge back, who was leading the way on that play. If he'd have just maybe been a little bit more patient, he might have been able to pick up some more yards.
2nd down and 4 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the 15-yard line. Clock rolling down, under 7 minutes to go in a scoreless first quarter. Sidecars to either side of Jeremiah Jones. He'll work off of play action, rolling to his left. Has time, throws it to the back of the end zone. The pass is batted around, and it will be intercepted. The pass hung up in the air, and Robert Reinheimer comes down with the football, and that is turnover number 8 for Woodland Hills in the past 2 weeks, and the second tonight.
And Woodland Hills just keeps finding ways to shoot themselves in the foot. Started off a good drive with the running game, had one nice pass, but it looks like Jeremiah Jones might have been shooting for a little bit too much. And again, for probably the 4th time this season, I've seen wide receivers or any wide out running back combination in the same place at the same time. So somebody's not picking up the reads correctly.
6:36 to go in quarter number 1, still scoreless here at the Wolvarena. High backfield this time. Behind Taylor Baca. Baca, straight top back, looks to his right, throws it complete to Robert Reinheimer, and Reinheimer retreats after catching the football, but they will say that his forward progress got him out to the 25, a pickup of 5 on that completed pass.
And that was a good job of Bryant Stallworth of hanging with his receiver, gave him a little bit of a cushion, the receiver ran him off, was able to recover and make a nice open field tackle.
16 yards in the air, 2 of 4 today for the quarterback Baca. High backfield again, receivers to either side. Baca, he'll hand off, and the ball carrier that time was the second man through, and there was nowhere for him to go as he got hit hard a yard deep in the backfield, a loss of 1 on that play.
Yeah, number 46, Bowden, was not fooled on that play. Nice run blitz by Bowden and put a nice hit on Nickel.
Jeremy Barnhart, actually the ball carrier that time. He was in place of Nickel at the tailback spot. Shaler today on the ground, 4 carries for -4 yards. Baca in the shotgun, sidecar to his right, trips to his left. 3rd down and 6 for the Titans. Baca has some time, and the pass intended for Reinheimer is broken up. Leaping up and swatting that one away is Trayvon Bryant Stallworth, and that's the second big play of the game for the cornerback on the left-hand side.
Well, also, I think Jordan Lee might have tipped it as it was coming towards Bryant Stallworth, so it was a good underneath coverage by the linebackers for Woodland Hills.
So again, the big guy on to punt it away for the Shaler Titans. And again, he boots it to the near sideline. This will bounce at the 40, straight up into the air, and then take a Shaler roll towards the 40-yard line. And that'll be a net punt of around 16 yards. Well, the good news for Woodland Hills fans is the defense has kept the Shaler Titans at bay. Shaler has yet to pick up a first down. The problem is Woodland Hills has turned the ball over on their first 2 offensive possessions. 5:04 to play here in quarter number 1. Woodland Hills with the ball inside of Shaler territory at the 40.
And let's make no mistake, Adam. Woodland Hills is able to move the ball down the field pretty freely. They just keep making mistakes at pivotal points.
Sidecar to the right of Jones this time is Joe L. Shaw. Showing some nice open field running to the left, inside of the 30 to the 28-yard line, a pickup of 12 for Joe L. Shaw. And he is so deceptive because he's so big, he doesn't look like he's moving fast, but he can run away from folks.
And he's got some nifty feet for being 6'1", 227 pounds, because he was dancing, did a little bit of dancing as he was getting to the outside. But once he got there, he just put his head down and got the first down.
3 carries, 39 yards for Joe L. Shaw. Not a bad showing thus far. Now sidecars to either side of Jeremiah Jones. High snap, handoff. Miles Sanders running right, still on his feet, inside of the 25, inside of the 20. Pounding his way forward, inside of the 15, dragging white jerseys down to the 13-yard line. And Sanders was a man on a mission there, a pickup of 15.
Yeah, I like the way that Miles Sanders is not afraid to cut back at any point during his run to pick up some more yardage or even find contact. We have to understand that Miles Sanders likes to hit and likes to be hit and likes to hit people.
So first down and 10 for the Shaler Titans. The ball at the 14-yard line, make it the 13-yard line. Pistol formation. Motion man is Joe L. Shaw from right to left. It's Sanders behind Jeremiah Jones. Sanders bouncing it left, has a lot of room inside of the 5, and he will be brought down at the 1-yard line. From this vantage point, he looked like he was in the end zone, but it will be a pickup of 12 yards, and it's first and goal for the Wolverines at the 1.
Yeah, give a lot of that play to big Danny Gibson, number 50, who just did a great job of sealing the inside for Miles Sanders so he can get himself down to close to the end zone.
90 yards on the ground already today for Woodland Hills. Pistol formation again as Shaw motions from left to right. Snap is slow, but the handoff is to Sanders, and he is across the goal line into the end zone for a Woodland Hills touchdown. 3:23 to go in quarter number 1, and Woodland Hills is finally on the scoreboard, 6-0.
It's good to see them cap off a drive after 2 turnovers, one by a fumble, one by an interception. You know, Shaler keeps setting Woodland Hills up in good offensive field position with these bad punts, but you can understand why they're doing it.
Good snap, good hold. The PAT is up and in for John Leone. And with 3 minutes and 23 seconds to go in quarter number 1, it's Woodland Hills 7 and Shaler 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. .323 to go in quarter number 1, and Woodland Hills is on the board. A 1-yard touchdown run by Miles Sanders caps off a 40-yard scoring drive for the Wolverines. And Woodland Hills is just dominating the line of scrimmage right now, Fred.
Yeah, especially defensively. They're really not letting Shaler get started at all. You know, a couple passes here and there, but largely the run game for Shaler has been very ineffective.
Leon with a deep kick this time inside of the 10 to the 9-yard line, where Robert Reinheimer will have the return for the Titans. He'll be tripped up as he crosses the 20, and will be brought down around the 23-yard line. Tackle on the play by Laquan Bowden, among others.
And right now, Woodland Hills just needs to get after Shaler, continue to get after Shaler, shut down their running game. You know, Shaler understands that they've had a little bit of success in the passing game, so look for them to come out in this drive passing. But, you know, if they can't get any first downs and drives are stalling, they're going to have a tough time today.
So Shaler again, 1st and 10, the ball at their own 23-yard line. High backfield behind Taylor Baca. He'll throw to the near side. The pass is intended for Edward Wincoop. Knocked away by a defender, and it is 2nd down and 10.
And that defender was 21, Mike Nash. Now, if you're going to start your passing game, going towards Mike Nash is probably not the best way to go about it.
No, Coach Novak said before the season he is among the lineage of future Division I Woodland Hills defensive backs. High backfield again behind Baca. He'll hand off to the tailback, and the handoff was low, but the running back for Shaler was able to corral the football. Ball carrier this time is Barnhart. Jeremy Barnhart, 5'11", junior for Shaler. His 2nd carry of the affair. 2 carries for -1 yard.
And a great job of Akira McLean just coming right off of his blocker, seeing Barnhart and getting a nice tackle.
Trips to the left, sidecar to the right of Taylor Baca. Baca looks to his right the whole way. Throws it way down the field. Now Reinheimer had a step on the defender, but that ball was thrown very, very deep. But Reinheimer turned on the Jets and was nearly able to catch up to that football, Fred.
I couldn't see who the free safety was on that side, but Baca's not very deceptive in his passing game because it looks like they're loading the trips to the left, and he's just going to the right side with that one-on-one defender.
Now the Wolverines are starting to figure out what Shaler is intending to do, so they push Stephon Hawthorne to the far boundary back, and then Miles Sanders near side to the right. And this punt will carry and bounce into the hands of a retreating Miles Sanders. And Sanders running to the far side. Their white jerseys everywhere, but they're all down. Sanders, far boundary, inside of the 40, inside of the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, end zone, touchdown. But there's a flag way back at the 41-yard line, and this one is going to come back. The flag came in very, very late, and I think the official thought about it for a good while before throwing it. It looked like there was maybe a block in the back, but we'll be able to tell on our television replay momentarily. Checking with our referee. That's frustrating, Fred.
It is.
And Coach Novak talked about it before the game. Miles has
Block in the back on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
And Coach Novak talked about it in our pregame show. He said that Miles Sanders should have approximately 400 yards this season if it weren't for penalties.
Looks like a great setup by the Wolverine punt return team to get that wall. And like you said, there was a bunch of white jerseys, but they were all on the ground because Miles Sanders was just striding towards the end zone.
Looked like Damon Johnson may have been guilty of a block in the back, depending on the helmet position, but we weren't able to tell from our vantage point. Joel Shaw dots the pistol behind Jeremiah Jones. Receivers to either side, tight end to the left of the formation. Handoff, huge hole for Joel Shaw, pounding his way forward, still on his feet, and he'll finally be brought down as he crosses the 35 to the 36-yard line to pick up a 5.
And in all actuality, Adam, he was tackled by Will Clark on that play because he tried to cut it back. Will Clark was trying to get some more defenders and get him a better cutback lane, but just ran into him. But great job of the offensive line of opening up a huge hole for Joel Shaw.
Again, Woodland Hills starting this drive at their own 31-yard line after the penalty. Negated a punt return for a touchdown by Miles Sanders. Joel Shaw, 4 carries today for 44 yards. Not bad, 11 yards per carry. Motion man from right to left, Isaiah Brooks. Handoff, Joel Shaw spinning. And he will be brought down shy of the line of scrimmage, or rather shy of the first down marker. His initial forward progress looked like it carried him up to the 39, but the officials actually say he's down at the 38, so it's 3rd down and 3.
Yeah, and if Shaler's going to have any, success against this Wolverine offense, they're going to have to gang tackle, especially Joel Shaw. You get one hat on him, you get 2, 3, and then the whole gang gets on him, and then hopefully they can get some negative yardage out of that.
Pistol formation, and Jeremiah Jones asks for a timeout after checking to the far sideline with Woodland Hills head coach George Novak. 52 seconds to go in quarter number 1.
Timeout.
Woodland Hills,
their first time
on top of the Shaler Titans, 7-0. We'll step away. When we return, it'll be more of Woodland Hills and Shaler. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Jeremiah Jones running back and forth. He'll throw it down the near sideline where the football is caught, and it will be a very, very long touchdown pass as Jamon Dunn got behind the Shaler defenders. Jones rolled left, rolled back right, heave-hoed it, showed the big arm, and it's a big touchdown for Woodland Hills, covering 52 yards.
Yeah, it must have been a little bit of a, I see you rolling one way, I'm going to go the other way, because Jamon Dunn did a great job of finding some open space, and nice arm by Jones to hit him basically in stride. And then once Dunn corralled it, he was on his way to the end zone.
Snap high, good hold down by Whitehurst, and the kick is up and in for Leone. And with 38 seconds to go in the first quarter, Woodland Hills leads Shaler 14-0. We'll step away again. It's the Wolverines on top of Shaler. You're tuned in to Woodland Hills and Shaler on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Jeremiah Jones rolled left, couldn't find anybody, rolled back to his right, threw the ball deep down the field where Jamon Dunn caught it behind Shaler defenders and ran to the end zone for a 62-yard touchdown, and Woodland Hills is on top 14-0. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy here at the Wolvarena as we were back to live action. Leone's kick carries down to the 10-yard line where it'll be returned by a Shaler Titan. Return that time, William Schmidt, and Schmidt is brought down at the 25 where it'll be first down and 10 for the Titans.
And that's exactly what Woodland Hills needed in the passing game. We know that they can do the slip screens, the short 5 and outs, but it's nice to see them heave the ball down the field every once in a while.
14-0, Woodland Hills on top of the Shaler Titans. Shaler with the football, first and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Trips to the left of the formation. Pass into the flat. And on that reception for Shaler is Devin Spagnolo. Spagnolo brought down after a pickup of 4, and it's second down and 6.
And that's what Shaler needed, especially after that big touchdown. It's just to pick up some positive yardage to get some confidence against this Wolverine defense.
And it looks like Shaler will be happy to go into the second quarter with this 14-point deficit. Woodland Hills on top 14-0 as we head to quarter number 2. It's the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. Set to begin the second quarter here in Turtle Creek. Woodland Hills on top of the Shaler Titans 14-0. And the Wolverines have done it with the big play, and they've done it matriculating the ball down the field. The big play most recently, the 62-yard touchdown pass to Jamon Dunn.
Yeah, and that was just a great heads-up play by Jones. Didn't see anything on the left side, and once he rolled back or scrambled back to his right side, he saw Dunn wide open, and then once he tossed it up, got him in stride, and 2 seconds later he's in the end zone.
And Fred, one thing I've noticed thus far by this Woodland Hills defense is a week ago at times they bent but didn't break. This week, they're not even bending.
No, they're not. I mean, they've been able to, Shaler's been able to have some success in the passing game, but as for running the ball, there's no way they've been getting any yardage on this defense.
Shotgun formation, trips to the right. Play action, the pass is tipped, the ball is sky high, and it hits the carpet incomplete. Diving for the football was Diamond Johnson. And McVeigh is the one who got a piece of it. McVeigh had a great football game at defensive end a week ago.
Yeah, with a couple sacks, 1 sack, 1 half sack, was able to get to the quarterback and put some pressure on the quarterback against Bethel Park, and back at it, doing a good job again today.
2 receivers to either side. Baca in the shotgun, sidecar to his left, 3rd down and 6 for the Titans, the ball at their own 26. Pass down the near sideline. It's sky high, and the pass into the Shaler bench. Man-to-man coverage by Mike Nash, And Nash, I'll tell you what, Fred, he was in the hip pocket of the receiver that time, Devin Spagnuolo.
And Shaler's defense or Shaler's offense in their passing game, they're not really running anything spectacular. They're just running go routes against this Wolverine defense. And if you're going to run a go route against Mike Nash, that's going to be a long day for you.
I don't think that's going to work very well at all. And this punt is away. Miles Sanders retreats and scoops it up at the 29, retreats to the 26, down that far boundary, across the 40 where he's forced out of bounds. A big ooh from the far boundary as apparently Miles Sanders got tagged pretty good along that far boundary at the 38 where it'll be first down and 10 for the Wolverines.
It looks like number 24, Nicholas Grillo, is the one who caused all the oohs and ahs over there on the far sideline.
So Woodland Hills with the football, 11:40 to go in quarter number 2. Ball at their own 38. Shotgun formation, sidecars to either side of Jeremiah Jones, and a flag flies along this near boundary. And we'll check in with the referee to see what this one is.
Dead ball, encroachment, defense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So that'll cost the Titans 5 yards, and it'll be 1st and 5 for the Wolverines with the ball at the 43.
I mean, I haven't really seen Jeremiah Jones run too much of the hard count in the early goings of the season, but he must have did it on that play because Wolverines were able to get 5 yards.
Talked about it in the pregame show with Coach Novak. Jeremiah Jones made a verbal commitment over the weekend to West Virginia University. Motion man from right to left. Handoff will go to the second man through, and that's Hassan Ghanem. Ghanem listed as a fullback this season, but he's back there alongside of Joel Shaw, I do believe. No, it is Miles Sanders who's in there alongside Ghanem. And a pickup on that play of 3 yards brings up 2nd down and 2.
Maybe Coach Novak's giving Joel Shaw a little bit of a breather.
Trips to the right of the formation. Jones steps forward to an offset pistol. He looks to the left, pumps, throws. Stephon Hawthorne has the step with a pass over the head of the intended receiver. Jones was hit as he released the football and was looking for the roughing the passer. No dice there as the contact came legally by Patrick Tavitas, who not only plays defensive line but punts for the Shaler Titans.
I thought Woodland Hills got a little lucky with Miles Sanders and Hassan Ghanem both going in motion at the same time, but I guess because they were going away from the line of scrimmage, there was no call. There was no flag.
10:56 to go. Clock is stopped here in quarter number 2. Woodland Hills faces a 3rd down and 2. Motion man from right to left is Brooks. Handoff away from the motion. There goes Miles Sanders, far boundary, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20. Races away from a Titan, and he'll step on the far boundary inside of the 10 at the 8-yard line. But a big pickup there for Miles Sanders. It's 1st and goal for the Wolverines.
And number 3, Reinheimer for Shaler, really got lucky because I thought that Miles Sanders was actually going to run past his angle. And I thought Reinheimer had a good angle, but Miles Sanders was just scooting down the sidelines. Wow.
36-yard pickup for Miles Sanders. He now has 82 yards on the ground to go along with a touchdown. Shaler calls a timeout.
Their first time.
Shaler calls a timeout, and we will step away as well. 10:46 to go in the 2nd quarter. It is Woodland Hills on top of Shaler, 14-0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. 10 minutes and 46 seconds remain in quarter number 2. Woodland Hills has the ball, 1st down and goal at the Shaler 8-yard line. Pistol formation with Sanders behind Jones. One receiver to the near side left. Handoff to Sanders. Big hole to his left-hand side. Powering his way inside of the 5 before he's driven back by a gang of white jerseys. And they will say that Sanders was stopped at the 5. A pickup of 3 for Miles Sanders, who now has 85 yards on the ground.
Just a little bit more patience by Miles Sanders probably would have resulted in a touchdown, because Will Clark, coming from his right guard position, cleared a nice hole for Sanders and actually pushed his guy into basically into the end zone.
Play run in from the far sideline by Jamon Dunn. Dunn, the 5'10 junior who caught the touchdown pass of 62 yards. Time winding down inside of 10 minutes in the second quarter. Ghana motions from left to right. Handoff, Sanders. Sanders shows patience, runs to his right, and he is brought down at the line of scrimmage. There was a hole there momentarily, but it closed up quickly as two Titans converged, and Killian Bozzo was the first tackler for Shaler.
And it's a good job of Shaler's defense on their left side of holding the edge and making sure Miles Sanders couldn't bounce it to the outside for the touchdown.
Timeout taken by Woodland Hills with 9:35 to go in the second quarter. Woodland Hills faces a third down and goal. We'll step away one more time, and you're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. .9:35 to go here in quarter number 2. Woodland Hills on top of Shaler, 14-0. The Wolverines threatening third and goal at the 5. Jones calls out signals to the receiver to his left in Heaven Price. Handoff, Sanders running to his left. Big hole. He'll cross the goal line for a Woodland Hills touchdown, but a flag flew in the direction of Stephen Puel. And this one's probably coming back. And it is holding against Woodland Hills.
Adam, by my recollection, I believe that's
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, replay third down.
That's the 4th touchdown by Miles Sanders to be called back already this season.
Oh, that was a nickel dimer. Puel had good positioning, good hands inside. He was driving the Titan actually towards Miles Sanders on the play. But regardless, instead of third and goal at the 5 or a Woodland Hills touchdown, it's now third and goal at the 15 for the Wolverines. Pistol formation. It is Sanders behind Jones. Jones drops back, dumps it off. Sanders to his right, has one man to beat inside of the 10, and he'll be pushed out of bounds along the far boundary. Right around the 5-yard line, a flag came in, and I think this may be a late hit out of bounds against the Shaler Titans. Now there's some arguing going on over there on the far boundary as some words were exchanged between Miles Sanders and Nicholas Few of the Titans. So it was a pickup of 11 yards on that pass play from Jones to Sanders.
Dead ball, personal foul on the defense. Half the distance to the goal, fourth down.
So personal foul along that far boundary, pushes the ball from the 4 to the 2. But what I'm wondering, and I think you are too, Fred, is why it's not a first down.
Yeah, I thought all personal fouls would result in a first down for the opposing team.
And the late hit out of bounds came from Shaler's number 23, which we'll get to in a minute. But right now, Woodland Hills has a 4th and goal at the 2. Ghana motions from left to right, jumbo package. Handoff, Shaw pounds his way forward into the end zone for a Woodland Hills touchdown. Joel Shaw with the score for the Wolverines.
And it looks like Woodland Hills went with their quote-unquote jumbo package. They had Joel Shaw in the backfield, Hassan Ghanem as the H-back, clearing the way for Joel Shaw to get himself into the end zone.
That's a pretty play. That's my kind of stuff, just power football. As you're right, Ghanem kicked out, and it was Shaw who just ran through two Titans across the goal line. Snap a little high, Whitehurst gets it down. Leon's kick is no good as it carries left. Woodland Hills on top 20-0 with 9:19 to go here in quarter number 2. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Two-yard touchdown run by puts the Wolverines on top 20-0 with 9:19 to go in the second quarter. And Fred, we're going to start to run out of adjectives, weather-related adjectives, to talk about this Woodland Hills running attack. We've talked about the lightning from Art Tompkins. We've talked about the thunder from Joel Shaw. We've got the combination of both from Miles Sanders. Now we've got Hassan Ghanem in the mix. So the Wolverines really have a powerful four-headed monster in that backfield.
Yeah, it really does sound like a weather report when we talk about this running game. But they've done a great job. All four of these guys have done a great job of finding ways to get themselves into the end zone.
Ball carries to the 10-yard line off of the toe of Leone, and the return man for Shaler tripped up as he crosses the 25 up towards the 27-yard line. On the return, Reinheimer for Shaler. Tackle on the play made by Deron Cooper of the Wolverines.
And as we mentioned, Hassan Ghanem looked like he might have assisted on that tackle as well. He's just done a great job. I mean, he's very understated. He's not going to get the press that Miles Sanders or Jones or Shaw is going to get, but he's a very hard-nosed kid and just finds his way to the football on almost every play.
Titans with the ball at their own 28-yard line. Pass to the near sideline, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Devin Spagnolo. And that incomplete pass is the 6th out of the last 7 attempts. Beautiful, crisp, early fall evening. Technically late summer. Fall starts on Monday here at the Wolvarena. A beautiful night for high school football and a great crowd on hand, as the far side stands have certainly filled up here. Handoff will go. The ball comes loose. The Wolverines pick it up. And it will be Woodland Hills ball inside of the 25-yard line at the 24. 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills. After the ball came loose, it's 1st and 10 for the Wolverines.
And Jordan Lee was able to pick it off the turf after the Titan running back just coughed it up. And if it wasn't for an offensive lineman, Jordan Lee would be standing in the end zone because he had a clear view to the end zone ahead of him.
Fumble was forced by Tyreek Thompson before Jordan Lee picked that one up for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. First and 10 for Woodland Hills, the ball at the 24. 9:02 to go in the second quarter, pistol formation. And Woodland Hills is going to take a timeout, and we will too. Again, 9:02 to go here in quarter number 2. It's Woodland Hills 20 and Shaler 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. First and 10 for Woodland Hills. The ball at the 24-yard line. Handoff goes to Miles Sanders. He bounces it to his right, and he will carry the ball inside of the 10 to the far boundary, forced out of bounds around the 7. There's a flag down, and this one's going to be coming back as a hold against the Wolverines. Woodland Hills looking to take advantage of a Shaler turnover.
Holding on the offense. Penalty. First down.
So 10 yards from the spot. And that'll back the Wolverines up to the 34-yard line, where it'll be 1st down and 20.
And I think they're going to get William Fletcher for holding. It looked like he had, as we're looking at the replay, it looked like he might have tugged on the jersey a little bit too much, but he had good hand placement because they were inside the shoulder pads.
Woodland Hills, 1st and 20 at the 34. Handoff, Miles Sanders straight up the gut, spinning his way forward to the 30 before being driven back. I'll actually say he was stalled at the 31, a pickup of 3 yards on that play for Miles Sanders.
I thought once he started to spin, I thought he was going to pick up a lot more yardage on that because there was nobody around him. But Shaler did a great job of gang tackling Miles Sanders, which is exactly what they need to do.
Woodland Hills now faces a 2nd down and 17 with the ball at the 31. Pistol formation, 2 receivers to the right. Off of play action, Jones rolls to his right. Throws, and the pass is batted around and incomplete. It nearly fell into the hands of one of the D-backs for Shaler, and a flag came in late as there was some face mask to face mask jawing.
Dead ball. Sideline warning on Shaler.
Now, in addition to that jawing, apparently, as you heard, the sideline along the near side has put some pressure on the official. Well, I've heard back up several times coming from the Shaler bench. Apparently, not so much that time. Incomplete pass by Jeremiah Jones. Jones today is 2 of 5 for 69 yards and a touchdown. Also has thrown an interception. Actually may have missed the screen pass in my stats there, and I'll get back to that momentarily. Coach Novak uses his final timeout of half number 1 with 8 minutes and 6 seconds to go in quarter number 2. Woodland Hills has used their final timeout already. And 3 flags fly. Boy, the officials were really excited to throw that penalty against the Wolverines, weren't they? So the 5-yard penalty against Woodland Hills for delay of game pushes them back to the 36-yard line. And it will be 3rd down and 21.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I'm fairly certain that Coach Novak usually has a good track of how many timeouts he uses.
Jones in the shotgun, straight drop back. Pressured as he rolls to his right, steps up, picking up block after block, and there'll be a block in the back against the Wolverines as Jones runs to the far boundary. He'll step out of bounds at the 27-yard line, and there's some penalties down in the secondary as well, so these may offset. And if that is the case, we're going to see another 3rd and 21. Let's check in with our referee as soon as he gets the word. Jones incidentally stepped out of bounds along that far boundary at the 26-yard line, a pickup of 10. But we will see what the call is.
Fouls on both teams. Holding on the defense. Holding on the offense. Penalties offset. 3rd down.
It was technically an illegal block in the back against the Wolverines, but either way, the offsetting penalties brings up 3rd down and 21 with 7:54 to go in quarter number 2. And the ball at the 36.
You know, if there's been one downside to this Woodland Hills Wolverine offense, it's been the pass blocking. It seems like the opposing defensive line and linebackers are able to get to Jeremiah Jones or whatever quarterback's back there pretty easily. And if Woodland Hills is going to be effective through a march to Heinz Field, they're going to have to get their running game together.
Hand off, Miles Sanders bouncing his way forward. He bounced off of Jake Cassidy, and he's finally brought down inside of the 30 at the 28-yard line. A pickup of 8 for Miles Sanders, and Sanders now has 107 yards on the ground.
And that's what you don't want to see, is Miles Sanders limping to the sidelines.
Well, hitching his getty up as he goes to that far boundary does Miles Sanders, and he will be attended to by the Woodland Hills training staff. Out on the field for the Wolverines now is Joel Shaw. So it's 4th down and 14 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the 28-yard line. Athletic trainer Denny D'Amico over there looking at Miles Sanders, and obviously a lot of concern for the Woodland Hills star running back headed to Penn State. And a flag comes in.
Dead ball, delay game on the offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
And Fred, unfortunately, I don't have an opportunity to keep penalty stats, but Woodland Hills has been penalized a lot this year.
Yeah, I mean, with the first 3 games, I mean, it's kind of hard to determine what the yardage is, but it's been way too much.
Especially with a veteran team like the Wolverines have. Jones pressured, still on his feet, running to his right. Inside of the 30, inside of the 25, inside of the 20, and he'll be forced out of bounds along that far boundary right around the 18-yard line, and there'll be a penalty well behind the play as Amon Baldwin Youngblood was involved with the Shaler defensive lineman Patrick Tabatas back well behind the line of scrimmage. And the ball is at the 19 right now. And we'll see what this penalty is.
Personal foul on the offense. Penalties decline. First on Shaler.
The penalty against the Titans, and let's take a look here if we can see on the television replay. Amon Baldwin Youngblood got the Shaler Titan to the carpet right around the 50-yard line, and it was out of frame by the time the official blew the whistle. And sometimes you give the guy a little bit of a splash after the pancake block and say a little something, and the referee's there and he hears it. And sometimes it's just enough to draw the flag, and these officials sure have been flag happy through the first 3 weeks of this season, and tonight has been the most noticeable.
Yeah, and as Amon Youngblood was trying to, as he was pushing the Titan defender to the carpet, he actually tried to hold himself up and put his hands down and to not fall on him, to maybe avoid the flag, but I guess the referee saw otherwise.
Turnover and downs for the Wolverines, 1st and 10 for Shaler with the ball at the 19-yard line. Baca, straight drop back. He's hit, wrapped, and sacked. Jordan Lee on the play for the Wolverines.
And that's coming from his outside linebacker position. He just saw a lane as soon as the play started and just ran right up the middle of the Titans' offensive line and was able to get Baca for a nice sack.
13-yard loss on the play, back to the 6 from the 19, and an offensive lineman is down for the Shaler Titans. Now he has a shoe off. And you have about 30 seconds if you have an equipment issue, and then the officials will send you off. Shaler starting this drive at their own 19. Now they have the ball at their own 6. Shotgun formation. Baca drops back into the end zone. Throws to the near side, and the pass intended for Reinheimer is well off the mark. Nash tried to get down underneath it, but he couldn't do so, and that incomplete pass brings up 3rd down and 23.
And I don't really think Baca is doing any pre-snap recognitions, because he keeps trying to go towards Mike Nash, and that's just not a good idea.
6:12 clock stopped here in the second quarter. Shaler with the football, 3rd and 23, the ball at their own 6-yard line. 2 receivers to the right of the formation. Sidecar to the left of Baca. He has 2 receivers to his left as well. Baca pressured, throws, wounded duck coming down the near boundary. Reinheimer gets underneath it as he slid in front of Nash. Nash was there, but a nice job adjusting the football by Reinheimer. And it will be a Shaler first down and a huge pickup of 35 yards on that play.
And just as I say something, Mike Nash gets a little burned for good yardage for Shaler. But like you said, it was a wounded duck, but Reinheimer made a great adjustment of coming into the field to make a nice catch.
Shotgun formation, sidecar to the right of Baca. He looks to his left. The pass through the hands of the intended receiver. Visco nearly had a pick as the ball slid away, but the ball slid through the hands of Jake Wilkert. Wilkert, the 5'9" senior, couldn't hang on to that, and the incompletion brings up 2nd down and 10.
And Baca's actually not having a bad game, despite the score and his statistics. He's actually putting the ball in places where his receivers should be making catches. There's just been a lot of drop passes by the Shaler receivers today.
2 receivers to either side. Sidecar to the left of Baca. He'll throw to his left. That pass is complete, and that's a Shaler Titan first down as a flag came in late. That may be a face mask against the Wolverines at the end of that play. Nicholas Few on the reception for the Shaler Titans. It's going to be a hold against Shaler. Well, will wonders never cease? A penalty against the Titans. And Coach John Ladon's going to take this opportunity to talk with his quarterback, Taylor Baca.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 2nd down.
And the spot of the foul was right around the 45-yard line of the Wolverines. So a net gain on that pass play of 4 yards from Baca. Too few. Baca steps under center with an eye backfield behind him. He'll throw to his left-hand side. The pass is complete to Reinheimer, and as soon as he catches the football, he pays the price. Jahad Brown puts a licking on him.
That was a great read by Jahad Brown. And Jahad Brown, who was such an impactful player during the playoffs last year, has been relatively quiet so far earlier in the season, but he hasn't really been tested by any offensive so far.
Pick up a 4 on that play. 3rd catch of the game for Reinheimer. He has 3 catches for 44 yards. Baca off of play action. He's pressured. Dumps it off. And the back out of the backfield has enough for the first down. Brought down by Jordan Lee. But a nice pickup there for Anthony Zelina. A pickup of 5 yards, and it's 1st and 10 for the Titans. The ball at the Woodland Hills 46.
And this is the type of drive by Shaler that's going to give them some confidence going into halftime if they can put some points on the board.
1st down and 10 for Shaler with the ball at the Woodland Hills 46. And the pass is intercepted. Wow. I don't know where Baca was throwing that one to, because the only player in the vicinity was the Wolverine D-back, Damon Johnson. And it's 1st and 10 for the Wolverines with the ball right around the 44-yard line.
I think he might have been looking for that first receiver from the offensive line, but Damon Johnson just stepped in and made a nice play, and great concentration for him to stay with the ball through the entire play.
Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 44 after the interception. 2nd takeaway of the game by the Woodland Hills defense. 4:29 to go in the 2nd quarter. Woodland Hills on top 20-0. Jones off of the play action runs to his right. 1st down yardage and more. The design keeper for Jeremiah Jones picks up big yardage, a big chunk there inside of the 45, where he's brought down at the 41-yard line.
Great job of Jones of actually staying in the middle of the field where there was a lot of green ahead of him and picking up a Woodland Hills 1st down.
15-yard carry there for Jeremiah Jones. 2 carries today for Jeremiah Jones, covering 32 yards. And we saw a week ago a huge touchdown run by the junior QB. Handoff this time to Joel Shaw. He's got a lot of greenery in front of him, spinning, pushing, and driving his way inside of the 35 to the 34. So the line to gain was the 31. It's a pickup of 8 for Joel Shaw, and Joel Shaw now over 50 yards with 56 yards on the ground to go along with that 2-yard touchdown earlier on.
And you got to give a good hand to Tim Nickel, number 4 for Shaler, sticking with Joel Shaw through the entire play to get him down before the 1st down.
Jones off of play action, pulled the ball out of the belly. Spin by Jones, inside of the 30, 25, and out of bounds along that near boundary. Jeremiah Jones didn't want to take the hit, but he looked like a whirling dervish out there with that 1st down run.
Yeah, it was a smooth spin move by Jones to just elude a defender from Shaler who knew he had a sack or a tackle for loss, but once Jones put the spin move on him, he hit the X button, so to speak, and was able to pick up the Woodland Hills 1st down.
I was going to go back to Sega Genesis and said he hit the B button, but either way, the big spin there, a pickup of 16 down inside of the 20 to the 18. Jones throws to his right. The pass intended for Isaiah Brooks is incomplete. They're going to say it's a lateral pass, and it will be a fumble recovery by Isaiah Brooks, and a pickup on that play inside of the 15 to the 13. Are you kidding me?
A good job of Brooks of staying with the ball the entire time, because I think he might have looked at the side judge and saw his arm go backwards.
From our vantage point, that looked like a forward pass. From the near sideline, everybody thought it was a forward pass, but it will be a fumble by Jeremiah Jones and a recovery by Isaiah Brooks and a pickup on that play of 5 yards. give Brooks the 5-yard carry. Jones, hands off. Shaw pounding his way inside of the 5, where he's brought down right around the 3-yard line. A pickup of 10, make it 11 to the 2. And it's first and goal for the Wolverines.
And Woodland Hills has had great success pretty much all night long in between the tackles against the Shaler defense. The offensive line is doing a great job of putting a hat on a hat and opening up these holes for these running backs.
First and goal, Woodland Hills.
Jones in the shotgun, or rather in the pistol, with Joel Shaw behind him. He'll send a man in motion from left to right. And the handoff goes to Joel Shaw. Steps over a blocker in front of him. Still pushing his way forward down towards the goal line. And the officials will say that Joel Shaw is just shy of pay dirt.
Yeah, I couldn't see which Shaler Titan defender was able to get a hand on the shoulder pad of Joel Shaw as he was coming to the line of scrimmage, but that slowed him up enough for the rest of his teammates to, stop Joel from getting into the end zone.
Pistol formation again. High snap, handoff, Shaw into the end zone for the Woodland Hills touchdown. Woodland Hills on top, 26-0 with 1:48 to go in quarter number 2. In a big hole, and I don't think anybody wants to step in front of Joel Shaw when he is the lone setback and has that kind of head of steam coming. Second touchdown of the game for Joel Shaw. And Shaw now with 70 yards on the football game. Leone on for the PAT. The kick is up, and the kick is good. And with 1:48 to go in the second quarter, it's the Woodland Hills Wolverines on top, 27-0. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. $1:48 to go in quarter number 2. Woodland Hills on top, 27-0. Joel Shaw with a 1-yard touchdown run, his second of the game. Puts Woodland Hills on top again, 27-0. John Leone's kickoff. End over end will be returned from the 17-yard line by Reinheimer for Shaler. And Reinheimer is brought down at the 31-yard line, where it'll be first and 10 for the Titans.
Reinheimer carries that ball out near the 31-yard line.
And if Shaler's going to do anything, they might as well just stick with the passing game because that's what's been effective for them so far in this game.
First and 10, Shaler knows of the football on their own 32-yard line.
So first and 10 for the Titans with the ball at the 32. 1:42 to go in the second quarter. Woodland Hills on top, 27-zip. Pass to the near side is complete. The receiver, Nicholas Few. And Few is brought down inbounds by Mike Nash. A pickup of about 2 brings up second down and 8.
And that's a great recognition of Mike Nash of seeing the flare route taking place and just disregarding his receiver and coming up and making a nice open field tackle.
Second and 7 for Shaler. The ball along the near hash at the 35. Baca's pass is complete. Catching that football and then getting hit hard
Baca's pass complete to
was Devin Spagnolo. And a pickup of 10 on that play. And it's first and 10 for the Titans at the 35-yard line.
It looks like Shaler's going into their no-huddle offense with under 2 minutes left to go in the half.
Pass down this near sideline intended for Reinheimer. He'll catch it off of his face mask as he got behind Mike Nash. And Reinheimer is finally brought down right around the 10-yard line. And how did Reinheimer get that far away from Mike Nash?
It looks like Baca might have caught Mike Nash looking into the backfield and not sticking with his receiver.
Big pickup on that play for the Shaler Titans from the 45 down to the 11. Pass to the left side, and it is caught for a Shaler Titans touchdown. Reaching out and pulling that football in was number 2. Again, we've had so many problems because they provided us with an alphabetical roster instead of a numerical roster, but it's Devin Spagnolo on the reception and the touchdown for Shaler.
And Spagnola actually caught that amongst 2 Woodland Hills defensive backs. Sorry, a linebacker and a safety. And that was a nice throw by Baca to thread the needle.
Shaler on the board. Woodland Hills on top, 27-6 with 2:53 to go in the second quarter. Good snap, good hold. The kick is up. The kick is good. And with 53 seconds to go in the second quarter, Woodland Hills on top, 27-10. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. An 11-yard touchdown pass from Taylor Baca to Devin Spagnolo puts the Shaler Titans on the scoreboard. 10:53 to go in quarter number 2. Woodland Hills on top, 27-7 after the PAT up and in for the Titans.
And that's a little shot to the defense of Woodland Hills, who, you know, when you come into a game where the opposing team hasn't scored a point, you certainly don't want to be the first ones to give up those points.
Didn't seem like Woodland Hills was prepared there, Fred, for the hurry-up offense by Shaler. Titans align themselves with could be an onside kick here. And the kicker continues to look at the official next to him instead of looking at the referee down the field, and now he will boot it away. And the kick will go into the Shaler crowd again. And it will be first down and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball. Let's see where the official spots it. He'll say it went out at the 40, but it'll be first down and 10 for the Wolverines.
Well, you know what we're going to see a heavy dose of from the Shaler offense in the second half.
Free kick out of bounds.
Go ahead, Freddie.
Oh, they're probably just going to continue with the no huddle and possibly the passing game and just see where, you know, the chips fall at the end, because they've had a lot of success of passing against this Woodland Hills defense.
See what the Wolverines do here with the football. 53 seconds to play. Trip to the right, empty set backfield. Jeremiah Jones has time, has lots of time, still has time, running to his right. He'll step into one, throwing it deep down the field, where it is caught by Isaiah Brooks inside of the 15 at the 13-yard line. A flag back at the 34-yard line. We'll be holding against Woodland Hills. You have got to be kidding me.
Wow. I was looking downfield as he threw the ball, and it looked, as he was rolling out, I didn't see any flags, so I felt it was good. You know, we were good enough to look down the field.
And we await the call from the official. From our vantage point,
Holding on the 10-yard penalty, first down.
Now, from our vantage point, Jameer Scarborough was the right tackle on that far boundary. Now, Scarborough had a nice block on the end there. As Jones rolled to his right, Scarborough literally pulled himself away from the Shaler Titan, pulled his hands back. There was a little jersey tug there, and another nickel and dime penalty against Woodland Hills.
You know, you figure after so many we'd be used to it, but
No, it's sickening. Jeremiah Jones is off to the races to the far boundary, near first down yardage. And I'll tell you what, the kid wasn't happy about the holding call, and he made up for it all in one play pretty much.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they give him the first down.
Well, the line to gain was the 50-yard line because the drive started at the 40. A 25-yard pickup for Jeremiah Jones. And I didn't notice it initially, but the handoff between Jones and Shaw was bobbled, and Jones just went off to the races.
Hey.
So it's first down and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the midfield stripe. So there's 22 seconds to play here in quarter number 2, Fred. Woodland Hills has the ball at the 50-yard line. We saw Jeremiah Jones go deep. He threw the ball way down the field where Isaiah Brooks caught it at the 13-yard line. A reasonably bogus penalty negated that. Jeremiah Jones sparked the Wolverines again, pushing the ball from the 25 to the 50-yard line. What do you think Coach Novak does here?
At this point, he's probably just going to run out the clock, go into halftime, make some adjustments, especially on the defensive end. They really need to adjust for the no-huddle / passing game that Shaler's going to come out with a lot in the second half.
Jones with the sidecar to his left. He's going to go to the air. He has time. He still has time. He's going to run to his right. He's going to run back to his left. He's going to run back to his right. And he's going to throw the football. And it's complete to Stephon Hawthorne for a Woodland Hills first down. How about that? Jeremiah Jones, right, left, and then throws for the first down, covering 10 yards.
The most impressive part is the fact that none of the offensive linemen were downfield.
And there was no penalty on the play. Will wonders never cease? And Jeremiah Jones will spike the football with 1 second to go. The officials were waiting for the sticks to be set, and Woodland Hills will have the football. First and 10 with 40 yards to go to pay dirt in 1 second. I think Coach Novak's going to give the keys to the Cadillac here to Jeremiah Jones, Freddie.
Why not? We've seen him with tremendous arm strength this game. And Coach Novak apparently is not afraid to let him go down the field with the football.
So second down and 10 for Woodland Hills as Shaler has used their final timeout here. And I think they just want to make sure they send all their defenders back.
Oh, yeah. They might as well just stand around the five-yard line, maybe the goal line, and just try to bat anything down that Woodland Hills might try to throw up.
Don't forget, fans on the radio side, stay tuned for the Woodland Hills Football Network halftime show on TV. We'll be back with the second half on our replays. If you're watching live on our stream on woodlandhillsfootballnetwork.com, we'll have both band performances. So it's first down and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at, or second down and 10 rather for Woodland Hills with the ball at the 40. Jones with twins to either side. Straight drop back. Pressured. Steps up. Now he's going to run as he's got a lot of greenery. Inside of the 35 to the 30. Running to the far boundary 20. Inside of the 15. One man to beat 10, 5. And he reaches. Is he in? He's in! Oh my! A 40-yard touchdown run by Jeremiah Jones!
Which what we thought was supposed to be a design pass. Jeremiah Jones, especially from the 10 to the goal line, made some really nifty moves of cutting back and forth and trying to get himself into the end zone, which he did.
How about that? And a flag comes in late. I'm not sure what that's for, and we've got a Wolverine down here. But what an incredible run by Jeremiah Jones. Field awareness. He had a lot of white jerseys in front of him. Had he continued to the right, there'd have been no doubt about it. But instead he cut it back inside, and he had to fight through two Titans to the goal line, and he got in there for the touchdown as time expired.
And it looked like it might be Jones who's down on the ground right now.
Jeremiah laying back there, being tended to by Woodland Hills athletic trainer Denny D'Amico and the rest of the athletic training staff out there talking to Jeremiah. We'll take this opportunity to step away quickly. It's Woodland Hills on top, 33-7 over the Shaler Titans. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. Jeremiah Jones was the Wolverine shaken up after the play, and after the run he just made, I can't say I blame him. What an incredible 40-yard touchdown run by Jeremiah Jones to push the Woodland Hills lead to 33-7. John Leone on to attempt the PAT, and that kick is no good, wide left and low. And the Wolverines will go into the locker room leading the Shaler Titans by 26 points, 33-7. Well, Fred, this was the most complete offensive half of the season by the Woodland Hills Wolverines, even more so, quite frankly, than it was in week number 1 against the Peters Township Indians. But penalty after penalty after penalty not only is affecting the pace of the football game, but it's also got to be affecting the morale of the Wolverines, because after a while you start to get frustrated when you have big plays called back, even though you continue to make those big plays.
Yeah, I mean, and these penalties seem to be occurring during long touchdown runs or during big plays. They're not just, it just seems frustrating, for us. I can only imagine how the coaches and the players feel, because they have to be demoralized. But Woodland Hills seems to keep coming back time after time after time and putting themselves into the end zone and building big leads.
And as we take a look at the end of the play, there was some pushing and shoving between a defensive lineman from Shaler and Big Danny Gibson, and another Wolverine ran in and got involved in the fray, and that actually is warranted for a penalty. But regardless of whatever the case may be there, Woodland Hills goes into the locker room on top by 26 points, 33-7. We're going to step away on the TV side. When we return, we'll get you set for the second half. Folks, on the radio side, when we return, it'll be the Woodland Hills Football Network halftime show. Again, your halftime score, Woodland Hills 33 and Shaler 7. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to the Wolvarena, where Woodland Hills leads the Shaler Titans 33-7. Getting set for the second half. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. And on the radio side, during the halftime show, we were able to talk a little bit about the stats. But Fred, a completely and utterly impressive first half for Woodland Hills. 296 yards on the ground, 90 yards in the air. The Wolverine offense responsible for nearly 400 yards of offense in just 24 minutes of football.
Yeah, they've done a great job of executing when there wasn't any penalties. We've seen a lot of yellow flags on the field today, but they're doing a good job of overcoming these penalties and overcoming these mistakes and getting themselves into the end zone.
And what was so impressive was the Wolverines not hanging their head when those penalties happened. They just kind of overcame them, and it was evident even in that final drive by the Wolverines. A huge pass from Jeremiah Jones to Isaiah Brooks took the ball all the way down to the 13-yard line, Fred. But a penalty brought that ball back all the way to the Woodland Hills 25. A broken play, but Jeremiah Jones made something happen, got it to the 50-yard line, made it 1st and 10 at the 50. Then Jeremiah again ran around back there forever, threw the ball complete for a 10-yard pass to Stephon Hawthorne. The Wolverines got on the ball, spiked it with a second to play, and then Jones, for the second week in a row, with a majestic 40-plus yard touchdown run.
And it seems like he's just playing sandlot quarterback back there. He's running to his left, running to his right, finding open receivers, and, give a lot of the credit to the offensive lineman of staying behind the line of scrimmage and not getting another penalty. But that last run by Jeremiah was absolutely fantastic, because he kept on cutting to the left, cutting to the right, just finding a nice lane that he can find to get himself into the end zone.
One issue of concern is the fact that Miles Sanders left the first half with an injury. He went off to the sideline with a hitch in his giddy-up, attended to immediately by the Woodland Hills athletic training staff. And we haven't seen him re-enter the game. And I know you're over there with the binoculars right now checking that far boundary for him. In that first half, Miles Sanders, 10 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. And folks on the TV side, you didn't hear this yet. Joe Elshaw in the first half, 10 carries for 69 yards, a pair of touchdowns. Then he came out of the locker room at halftime and played bass drum and tom-tom drum in the halftime show for the Woodland Hills Marching Band. So that junior does everything.
That's pretty impressive. He'll probably carry out the water bottles and, turn the first down marker and hold the sticks too.
Well, we don't see Miles Sanders on the kick return team. Back deep right now is Stephon Hawthorne, and to his right is Isaiah Brooks. Don't forget, Shaler will be kicking off from the Woodland Hills 45-yard line. A penalty after the Jeremiah Jones touchdown at the end of the first half is what pushes this kickoff to the 45. Let's see if the officials are able to keep the flags in their pocket for the next 24 minutes. Woodland Hills on top again, 33-7 as we are back underway here in the second half. Onside kick by Shaler, and the ball bounces into the waiting arms of Damon Johnson, and Johnson falls on top of the football at the 31-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Wolverines to start half number 2. Left to right across your radio dial, television screen, or internet browser.
You know, we like to hope that Miles Sanders is okay, but I think the need for him at this point, unless Shaler can do something spectacular on the offensive side, I don't think Woodland Hills is going to need him for the rest of the game.
Well, that may be the issue at this point, is just get him some rest, keep him out of the football game. We've got a Southeastern Conference matchup here at the Wolvarena next week against Baldwin, and then you go on the road to take on Upper St. Clair in 2 weeks.
Let's just hope he can get healthy for these next 2 games because they're very pivotal.
Hand off to Hassan Ghanem as he runs to his level with a lot of greenery in front of him. Stiff arms a Titan, and then Hassan Ghanem is brought down at the 35-yard line, a gain of 4 for Ghanem, and that is 2nd down and 6 for the Wolverines.
And great job by number 34 for Shaler. Anthony Zelina. Sorry, I had something caught in my throat.
No worries.
Great open field tackle because it looked like Ghanem had a good head of steam going towards the sideline, but Zelina just made a nice open field tackle.
Second carry of the game for Hassan Ghanem. 2 carries for 7 yards. The former special teams ace, who has become more and more a part of the Woodland Hills offensive attack here today. Hand off, Joel Shaw, barreling forward, 40, 50, 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Joel Shaw turns on the Jets and races 65 to the house.
That was pretty impressive of the open field speed by Joel Shaw. And he just took a quick little hitch, handoff from Jeremiah Johnson. Nice cut step on the inside, and then just went right down the field into the end zone for the Wolverine touchdown.
65 yards, and that makes Joel Shaw the 3rd Woodland Hills ball carrier to go over the century mark today. 135 and 3 touchdowns for Joel Shaw. Wow, what an evening for the big fella. BAT is up and in for John Leone, and less than 1 minute into quarter number 3, Woodland Hills on top, 40-7. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. .11 and 3 seconds remain in quarter number 3. Woodland Hills has opened up a 40-7 lead, and folks on the television side, you're about to be treated to the big man turning on the Jets. Joel Shaw racing 65 yards for the Woodland Hills touchdown, a huge hole, and just watch him rumble down that far boundary. And once he was into open field, nobody was going to catch him, and I don't think anybody wanted to step in his way.
No, you don't want to get in front of Joel Shaw, especially with that full head of steam.
Kick to the far boundary, Leone on the return. Has a crease. Uh-oh, Leone into open field. He'll be chucked down, or rather the return man will be chucked down. That was Reinheimer, who was knocked down on the play by Saeed Holt. And also in on the tackle was Leone. And Reinheimer was very slow to get up after that return.
Well, when they see the replay on this one, you'll see why he's slow to get up, because he was hammered by Holt. I mean, right at the midfield line, and Reinheimer didn't see it coming either.
Yeah, Reinheimer broke free here, and he crossed the 40, and Saeed Holt put his shoulder in, and Leone put his shoulder in. And he got bounced around pretty good, and one of the top offensive weapons for Shaler is slow to get up. And we'll take this opportunity, I think, to step away yet again as Reinheimer is down here. Woodland Hills on top, 40-7 over the Shaler Titans. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. The return man, Reinheimer, to his feet after being banged around and brought down on the kickoff return. Saeed Holt and the Wolverine kicker, Jonathan Leone, really put their shoulders into Reinheimer on the kick return. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Shaler Titans at the midfield stripe. By far the best starting field position for Shaler. Shotgun, sidecar to the left and right of the QB. The pass into the flat is complete as Vaca finds Anthony Zelina at the 48-yard line. A pickup of 2 on that play brings up 2nd down and 8.
And a great job of Jordan Lee of only holding it to a two-yard gain, because Baca was able to hit Zelina in the flats, was wide open, but great closing speed by Jordan Lee to only hold it to a 2-yard gain.
Second catch of the game for Zelina. He has 2 catches for 7 yards. Twins to either side, sidecar to the left of Baca. Reinheimer back in the lineup. That's good news for Shaler fans. Baca's going to throw it down this near boundary. He's looking for Reinheimer, and Reinheimer again got away from Mike Nash. And Reinheimer, what he does is he doesn't have blazing speed, but when the ball's in the air, he has an incredible ability to adjust to the football, Freddie.
Yeah, and it's pretty uncanny because, I mean, Baca's not throwing up horrible passes. I mean, they're nice and they're going away from the defender, but Reinheimer's, like you said, making just a tremendous effort to adjust to the ball, and that adjustment is actually leading away from the defenders.
3rd and 8 for the Titans. The ball at the Woodland Hills 38-yard line. Baca in the shotgun, looks left, looks back right, throws the pass, it's intercepted. Oh no! In and out of the hands of Jordan Lee. Lee was thinking, I'm going to run with this one, but instead he couldn't hang on to it, and it's an incomplete pass.
And that was a great adjustment. I was watching Baca the entire way. He did a great job of looking off, the defenders from the left side, and then came back to the right, but Jordan Lee had an interception in his grasp.
Jordan Lee doing his best Ike Taylor impression. And the Titans are on to punt, and a new punter is in there. This is not the D lineman we've seen thus far, and this will be an end-over-end kick that will bounce, roll through the legs of a Titan, and will be covered up by Shaler at the 14-yard line. And that ball came dangerously close to Mike Nash again.
Yeah, it was a good, usually when situations where the punt returner is not going to catch the ball, he screams Peter, everyone gets out of the way. I don't think Mike Nash might have heard him that time because, like you said, it was really, really close to touching him, and Shaler gaining possession again.
Running through my notes here, I believe this is the worst starting field position for Woodland Hills, and it is by far. The Wolverines, for the first time, have the ball to start a drive inside of their own 30. So 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the 14.
And it looks like we have a quarterback change as well.
It's going to be Deron Cooper to run the offense. He'll be in the shotgun with Jihad Brown behind him. No, excuse me, not Jihad Brown. This is Peyton Hicks, the ball carrier. And Hicks squirts his way forward across the 15 to the 19-yard line, roughly. And a gain of about 4 brings up 2nd down and 6. We saw a lot of Peyton Hicks in week number 1 against Peters Township.
And he did a great job in fill-in role for the second team, and was able to get some good yardage and run very hard, surprisingly.
Yeah, we saw Hicks and Saeed Holt, who already made a splash today, carry the ball very well in the latter stages of that game against Peters Township. Pistol formation again. And yet again, it's Peyton Hicks behind Deron Cooper. Receivers split to either side, 2 tight ends in the formation. Cooper off of play action on the keep. And he is brought down a yard deep in the backfield. And that'll bring up 3rd down. Actually a loss of more than 1. It appeared to be initially a loss of 1, but it'll be a loss of 2 instead. And it's 3rd down and 8.
And there was just, nothing fancy about this last play. You just quarterback keeper tried to fake it to the tailback. Shaler Titans defense was not fooled by any means, and exactly where your defense wants to be with a new quarterback in the mix.
Deron Cooper barking out signals, some confusion by the Woodland Hills offense, and Coach Novak can use this timeout. It's a teaching moment as the Wolverines are on top by 33 points.
Woodland Hills.
And your halftime score, or rather your 3rd quarter score with 8:19 to go, it's Woodland Hills 40 and Shaler 7. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Woodland Hills with the football, 3rd down and 8. and around. Heaven Price, 20, 30, far boundary 35, and finally spun down, but a big pickup there for the Wolverines. Junior receiver on the end, or a senior receiver rather, on the end around.
And it was just a great jet sweep by Heaven Price and the Woodland Hills offense. Not much more you could say. It was just a quick hitter, was able to get around the left edge, and once he got around the left edge, he just turned it upfield and picked up a good first down.
22-yard pickup on the play for Price. Price, second carry of the game. He now has 2 carries for 28 yards. Cooper hands off, sidecar to his left is the ball carrier. Bouncing it to the near side, Seed, Holt, and Holt pounding his way forward, and he will be forced out of bounds up near first down yardage at the 48-yard line. Tackle on the play made by Jake Hartman, 5'7" junior defensive back, and he sure had a lot to say to Seed Holt after Holt had already picked up the first down before Hartman made the force out of bounds.
Let's just hope it doesn't start to become a chippy ball game. You know, we've seen enough flags and penalties by both teams during this game, and this is certainly something that we, and the fans don't want to see continue in this game.
Woodland Hills spends a lot of time in the huddle there. It's likely Deron Cooper may have wanted to settle the troops a bit. Twins to the right, one receiver to the far boundary left, handoff to Hassan. Got him, big hole inside of Titans territory to the 48-yard line, a pickup of 4 for Hassan Ghanem, and Ghanem now has himself 3 carries for 11 yards.
And Ghanem showing some shifty moves in the hole as well, some quick feet by the 5'10", 197-pound senior.
And Fred, we've been calling that name a lot over the past several years. He was a reserve on defense, played a lot on defense in a reserve role, played a ton on special teams, and now he's really, adding to the Woodland Hills offense very, very nicely.
Yeah, and also he plays middle linebacker on defense too, so he's helping out in all 3 phases of the game.
Shotgun formation, sidecars to either side. Got him on the counter, runs to his left-hand side, runs through a Titan, barrels through another, and he'll be brought down inside of the 45 at the 44-yard line. And got him initiating contact on that run.
Yeah, when you're a fullback or a linebacker like Ghanem, you want the contact. You don't want to shy away from it. You want to punish your opponent, and that's exactly what he did on that last run.
I'll think about the fullbacks Woodland Hills has had over the past 3 seasons. They had Alex Beasley 2 years ago, last year Joel Shaw, and now to add to Joel Shaw, they've got Hassan Ghanem. That's some weaponry in the backfield. Some big bruisers. 3rd and 2, ball at the 44. Motion man, Heaven Price from left to right. Handoff will go to Seed Holt. Holt drives his way forward, gets close to that first down as he was neck tackled. A pickup of no yards. I'm not quite sure how it was a no-yard gain when Seed Holt was laying across the 43, approaching the 42, but instead they'll move the ball back to the 44.
And I was looking at the FAR official. It looked like he was close to the first down, or I should say the lead stick, but wow.
Well, here comes Jake Rushbridge, and we haven't had a chance to talk about him today. His first appearance at the Wolvarena, the Aussie rugby kicker. Technically Australian rules football, and Shaler's going to use a timeout and give us an opportunity to step away as well. 5:39 to go in quarter number 3. It's Woodland Hills 40 and Shaler 7. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. $5:39 to go in quarter number 3. Woodland Hills on top of Shaler 40-7. Wolverines to punt here. Jake Rushbridge on to boot it away for an exchange student from Australia. And Rushbridge. His kick spiraling down to the 16-yard line where it'll be returned by a Shaler Titan. And Nicholas Few pays the price as he's driven back, and a flag comes in right around the 26-yard line. It flew from a mile away. Nice kick by Rushbridge. And not only is it a decent net, it keeps Shaler inside of their own 20. 24-yard net punt for Rushbridge, but more importantly, as I said, The Titans will start inside of their own 20 at the 18-yard line. And you add to that the illegal block in the back. That'll push the Titans back inside of the 10-yard line after the penalty. Adam Gusky, Fred Guy on the call for you. Woodland Hills, well, on their way to their third victory to start the season. Next Friday night, we'll be back here at the Wolvarena as Woodland Hills takes on the Baldwin Highlanders. The purple and gray will come to the Wolvarena. Ball at the 9 to start this drive for Shaler. Baca's pass is complete to Nicholas Few, and Few is brought down after a 5-yard gain, and it's 2nd and 5 for the Titans.
It looks like there's a penalty flag on the field as well.
See what this is, the flag down at the 12-yard line. And Mike Nash was clapping. He seemed to know that the Titans were guilty of some infraction.
There is no flag on the play. 2nd down.
So a 5-yard gain on that pass to Few. Third catch of the game for Few, 3 catches for 11 yards.
And Adam, we mentioned Joel Shaw playing offense, defense in the band on the chain gang. He's also playing defense now.
The outside linebacker, and he makes the tackle. He forces the fumble. The ball is picked up by Saeed Holt, and he will run into the end zone for a Woodland Hills touchdown. Forced fumble by Joel Shaw, and the TD by Holt. Well, we've said he's done it all, and he sure has. Well, we were concerned about the absence coming into the football game of Art Tompkins, Fred, and Joel Shaw has stepped up magnificent. Wow. Usually I'm not that tongue-tied. Beautifully in his stead with the forced fumble there, and Saeed Holt with the defensive touchdown. PAT up and in for John Leone, and Woodland Hills on top by 40 points, 47-7, with 5:04 to play in quarter number 3. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. (47-7). Woodland Hills leading the Shaler Titans. A fumble recovery for a touchdown by Saeed Holt puts Woodland Hills on top by 40 points after the PAT up and in by John Leone. And the ball stripped away by Joel Shaw, was scooped up at the 18-yard line as Holt raced to the end zone for the TD. End over end kick by Leone will carry to the far boundary and roll out of bounds. And a hard hit along that boundary, and there will be flags coming in against Shaler, deservedly so. The ball had gone out of bounds. The whistle had blown, and all of a sudden, I believe it was Jahad Brown who was chucked out of bounds into the far boundary, nearly into the concrete wall over there. So the kick out of bounds would give Shaler the ball at the 35, but the penalty will move the ball back. And we're going to have a discussion between the referee and the coach on the near sideline. John Ladon, first-year head coach of the Shaler Titans. Ladon replacing a previous coach at Shaler that whose name you may recognize. Neil Gordon, longtime coach, and Penn Hills was at Shaler for a couple years before ultimately retiring.
Free kick out of bounds on the kicking team. Then we have a dead ball, personal foul on the return team. Shaler has elected to re-kick. Woodland Hills will re-kick.
Okay. Well, if Woodland Hills is going to re-kick, that's fine. But why is the penalty not being enforced against Shaler? Well, now they will. So a 5-yard penalty against Woodland Hills. Moves the ball back to the 35. Then they march the 15 yards for the personal foul up to the 50, and that's where Leon will kick off again for Woodland Hills.
Got to have some faith in the officiating crew there, Adam.
Why? I'm serious. We haven't seen much to earn that thus far. And the end-over-end kick carries into the end zone where Reinheimer will be on the return, and he will be undercut at the 10-yard line. A nice open field play there by the Wolverines. Couldn't see who made the play, but whoever it was certainly did a very nice job of getting a hold of the leg. It was Malik Flowers, the reserve senior defensive back, making the tackle back at the 10.
Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but anytime a ball goes into the end zone, shouldn't that be a touchback?
Yeah, should be automatically a touchback.
Didn't look that way in this case.
So the ball did go into the end zone.
It looked like it did.
Oh, well, unfortunately for Shaler, they'll have the ball 1st and 10 at the 10 instead of 1st and goal with the ball, or 1st and 10 with the ball at the 20 rather. Well, Fred, Woodland Hills well on their way to a victory today. That starts the season 3-0, and we talked with Coach Novak about starting the season 2-0 and how much of a relief that is. And starting the season now 3-0, even more so of a relief for this Woodland Hills team, because that really gets you rolling as the season progresses and you get into the meat of that schedule against teams like Upper St. Clair, Mount Lebanon, and of course Penn Hills at the end of the year.
Yeah, they're doing a great job on offense. With the exception of the penalties that they've had, the running game has been phenomenal tonight from a multitude of players, not just Miles Sanders. You throw Joel Shaw in the mix. You got Jeremiah Jones running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but doing a great job either way. And then you throw in some younger guys like Holt, who's doing a great job right now. It's interesting to see how the passing game is going to come along over these next couple of weeks against these tougher opponents.
Shaler with the football, 1st and 10 at their own 10. Woodland Hills on top by 40 points with 4:08 to play in the 3rd quarter. Pass to the far boundary is complete to Reinheimer. And Baca now with 147 yards in the air.
If there's a weak spot on this Wolverine defense so far in this early in the season, it's going to have to be the passing game. And it's not like they're being torched for big play after big play. It's just these intermediate, smaller routes, and then every once in a while they get a big hitter down the field against the defense.
Baca in the shotgun, 2 receivers to either side, sidecar to his left. Baca wide open as Reinheimer along that far boundary, and Reinheimer in all likelihood is going to take this one to the house, a big 85-yard touchdown pass. Now Woodland Hills had a lot of reserves out there on defense. Shaler's first team made them pay.
Yeah, it looked like there was a miscommunication between the cornerback and the safety on that side. It looks like the safety should have picked up it looks like they might have been in a 2-deep zone where the safety has the half of the field and the other safety has the other half of the field, but it just didn't seem like the communication was there.
Baca, incidentally, today, quietly has put together a nice performance in the air, 232 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Again, that one to Reinheimer covered 85 yards, and now Reinheimer has himself 173 yards in receiving. PAT is up and in for Shaler, and with 2:48 to play in quarter number 3, Woodland Hills leading the Shaler Titans 47-14. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. .232 to play in quarter number 3. Woodland Hills on top of the Shaler Titans 47-14. 85-yard touchdown pass from Baca to Reinheimer. PAT up and in for the Shaler Titans. Makes it 47-14 with 2:32 to play in the quarter. Well, Fred, right there, the Titans took advantage of the Woodland Hills second team defense. Kick will carry inside of the 15. On the return for Woodland Hills is Isaiah Brooks. And Isaiah Brooks takes the ball out near the midfield stripe to the 45-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills.
And it's a shame that Isaiah Brooks doesn't get the ball in his hands a little bit more often, because
he is actually a burner. I mean, I was really impressed with this speed on this last play. From where he picked the ball up to where he, saw a burst and just went right through it. If it wasn't for, a group of Shaler Titans, Isaiah Brooks, man, wow.
He sure can move. So Woodland Hills with a lot of reserves out there on offense now. Deron Cooper will run the offense. Cooper in the pistol. 1:33 to go in quarter number 3. The clock rolls as we are in the modified timekeeping system. Saeed Holt, the ball carrier for Woodland Hills, drives his way forward. Pickup of 3 to the 48.
In a situation like this where, you're up big, it's getting late in the game, it's really good to see, you're going to test your younger guys right now to see how they can handle pressure situations and see if they can make some positive plays and get some good results.
Well, we saw both Holt and Peyton Hicks perform very, very well against Peters Township in the latter stages of that football game. We've seen Hassan Ghanem come in here with some of the reserves, running some fullback. And right now, as Deron Cooper runs the offense, the sidecar to his right is again Saeed Holt. Holt will take the handoff, running to his left. Has some room inside of Titans territory, and Saeed Holt drives his way for a first down to the 44-yard line.
Yeah, and Holt is not shying away from contact at all. He is putting his head down, and he's laying into some of these Titan defenders.
9-yard gain on that play for Saeed Holt. And it's 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills. Saeed Holt, 21 yards on the ground on 4 carries. Over 5 yards a carry. For Holt, the sophomore, and Woodland Hills will allow quarter number 3 to expire, and they'll head to the 4th quarter, leading by 33 points. It's Woodland Hills 47 and Shaler 14. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. 47-14, Woodland Hills with a 33-point lead over the Shaler Titans. Woodland Hills with the football, 1st down and 10 at the Shaler 44-yard line. Not a starter to be seen for the Woodland Hills offensive attack. Deron Cooper will continue to play quarterback. Peyton Hicks is his sidecar to his left in the shotgun. Hicks takes the handoff, runs to his right, tries to stiff arm a Titan, and he will be dragged down a couple yards deep in the backfield. And again, a loss of 2 brings up 2nd down and 12. 2 carries for 2 yards today for Peyton Hicks.
And I'm looking at my play chart or my charts, and it looks like Shaler still has their pretty much first-team defense out there.
I do remember Killian Bazo in there as part of the starting defense for Shaler. They have sprinkled in some reserves, but some starters are still out there as well. Handoff to Peyton Hicks, who drives his way forward, picks up about 4 yards to the 43-yard line. As the clock continues to roll here. And it's 3rd down and 9 for the Wolverines.
And I don't really see Woodland Hills going to, put up the ball too much in the 4th quarter. So you're going to see a heavy dose of Hicks and Holt throughout the quarter, maybe sprinkled in with some other reserve running backs.
Stephen Rickard, one name of note out there at left tackle. Eric Mitchell at right. Deron Cooper throws to his right, and the pass is complete to Saeed Holt, and Holt would have been well served to not catch that pass, because while it is a reception, it is a loss of 3 on the play.
I have been proven wrong once again. Just as I say that Woodland Hills isn't going to throw the ball, it's exactly what they do on the next play. But like you said, they would have been better served of just letting the ball hit the turf and not taking a 3-yard loss.
On the punt again, Jake Rushbridge. He'll boom into this one. End over end kick inside of the 10, angles to the far boundary. It'll be downed by Stephen Rickert, the long snapper. Took a Shaler bounce, but it'll still be first down and 10 for the Shaler Titans at the 11-yard line. But how about that punt by Rushbridge, again pinning the Shaler Titans, or the Woodland Hills opponent, deep inside of their own territory.
Yeah, I believe that's the third punt that Rushbridge has had, which has pinned the Woodland Hills opponent inside their own 15-yard line.
First and 10 for Shaler, the ball at the 11-yard line of the Titans. Officials will start the clock on the snap, and once that clock starts, it probably won't stop for a while, rather. I'll tell you what, 4 hours of sleep this whole week starting to catch up to me. Pistol formation. Pass is complete. Catching that football, Nicholas Few. And Few is brought down after a gain of about 12. And it's first and 10 for the Titans.
And that was an impressive pass by Baca because he went through the arms of 2 Woodland Hills defenders to get that ball to Few.
This time the handoff goes to the tailback. Ball carrier Jeremy Barnhart. And Barnhart with a pickup of 1. Third carry of the game. And Barnhart has himself 3 carries for 0 yards. Clock rolling down, under 8 minutes to play here. Woodland Hills on top by 33 points. Hard count. Pass to the left, and the ball in and out of the hands of Joel Shaw. Shaw reached out, nearly grabbed a hold of that one, and I think he may have been thinking end zone before he had the ball all the way in his mitts.
That would have been too poetic for him to score a touchdown on offense and then one on defense, causing a fumble. You know, could have scored one on defense, also causing a fumble that led to a touchdown. That would have just been an all-around good night for Shaler and this Titan team.
Baca in the shotgun sidecar to his left. Hard count. He'll step up. He's going to run. He's going to slide down. He crosses the 25 to the 26-yard line. Gain of 2 for Baca. Baca now has 2 carries for minus 11 yards. And the punt team out there for the Titans. Nicholas Friel will punt. Second punt of the game for Friel. Friel also handles the field goal kicking duties, and this punt not pretty at all. The left footer boots it out of bounds along the near boundary, and the officials will give the Titans a gift and give them the ball at the 40-yard line as it seemed to sail out around the 38.
What's really funny is the coach caught it at the 38-yard line, so I don't understand why they would give the ball at the 40-yard line. Maybe it's a sympathetical yard or 2.
You don't understand why?
I mean, I do, but it still baffles my mind.
All right, 5:52 to go. Clock rolls here at the Wolvarena. And a timeout is taken by the Shaler Titans. I think they may want to get some more personnel out there. Some new personnel. We'll take this opportunity to step away, too. Tune into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. New quarterback in there for Woodland Hills is Jonte Moran Miles, and Moran Miles will hand off, and a new running back is in there, and that's Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson carries the ball down inside of the 30 to the 27-yard line, a pickup of 13 for Wilson. Woodland Hills on top by 33 points right now. Moran Miles, low snap, handoff will go to Peyton Hicks, and Hicks driving his way down towards the 21-yard line. And a pickup of about 6 brings up second down and 4.
You know what's really funny, Adam, is most of these guys on the field right now are going to see each other tomorrow morning during the JV game out at Shaler.
Right. Two teams will travel to the North Hills to play tomorrow. Heading up Route 8. Moran Miles, we saw a lot of him last year, Fred, in a reserve role. It's the first time we've seen him this season.
And from what I understand, Adam, he suffered a knee injury in the McKeesport scrimmage, which has limited his action so far this year.
It does seem to favor that left knee as he walks up to step under center. High backfield behind Moran Miles. Just over 4 minutes to go. Hand off Hicks. Big hole. And he will pick up the first down inside of the 20 as he's brought down at the 17-yard line. And it's first down and 10 for the Wolverines.
And I thought that play looked a lot more promising than it did. But great job of the Shaler linebackers of stepping up into the hole and making a nice tackle.
The hole closed up very quickly as the second wave of tacklers for Shaler got there, as you said, quickly. Clock rolling down to 3.5 minutes to play here in quarter number 4. Woodland Hills driving deep inside of Shaler territory, both teams with most of their reserves out on the field. Moran Miles steps under center with an high backfield behind him and receivers split to either side. Handoff will go to Kevin Wilson, who runs to his right, stays on his feet. Now the referee will say that Wilson's knee touched down back at the 20-yard line. Wilson was fighting for everything he could get, but couldn't come up with anything there.
I think there might have been a little miscommunication on that play. I've seen that play 1,001 times. It's the fullback trap. It looked like Miles might have probably pivoted the wrong way. It just looked like it was some miscommunication in the handoff.
Second down and 12. More like second and 13. Ball at the 20. 2.5 minutes to play. High backfield behind Moran Miles. Hand off to the fullback. That's Kevin Wilson driving his way forward. Passes the initial line of scrimmage and then will be brought down at the 15-yard line. A gain of 5 there for Wilson. And Wilson with 15 yards on 3 carries.
And that time they ran it correctly because it was a little bit more effective for the Woodland Hills offense.
There may have even been a 32 or 31 spin, Freddie, because I didn't see any linebackers or linemen pulling, and a timeout is called by the Woodland Hills offense, so it gives us a chance to thank our sponsors. We'll step away. More when we return. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Quarter number 4, Woodland Hills on top by 33 points. Wolverines with the football, third down and 8. The ball at the 15. Hand off to the second man through the hole. Driving his way forward is Peyton Hicks. And Hicks will be brought down at the 6-yard line. A first down for the Wolverines, a 9-yard gain on the play.
That was a good job of the offensive line of just coming out, and it looks like these younger guys are playing with a purpose and they want to get the ball in the end zone during a varsity game.
Michael Whitehurst now in at quarterback. The 4th quarterback to play for the Wolverines.
Hicks pounds his way forward for the Woodland Hills first down. First down, Woodland Hills.
Freshman is Whitehurst, the son of Larry Whitehurst, longtime member of the Woodland Hills coaching staff. Whitehurst will step under center with an eye backfield behind him. And he'll take the knee with 1:07 to play. And while I understand completely the reason for it as far as the scoreboard goes, on the same token, when you've got so many young guys out there on both sides, you know, it's still a game. And at this point, if you're the Woodland Hills offense, whether you're a lineman, the quarterback, the running back, you want to get that ball in the end zone. You want to get your name in the paper tomorrow.
When you're 6 yards away from pay dirt, you really, you know, that's the biggest thing that you want to do during a varsity game. Like you said, get your name in the paper, you know, get some cheering from the student section, you know, get a pat on the back come Monday morning, you know. But I understand, you know, Woodland Hills, Coach Novak has always been a classy individual in terms of sportsmanship, and nothing's going to change with that.
And again, Whitehurst takes a knee, and Woodland Hills will run out the clock. The Wolverines victorious by 33 points, 47-14, and other than penalties, a fantastic football game by Woodland Hills.
Yeah, a great job of just a total team effort. You know, what really not surprised me so much, but the dominating factor of the Woodland Hills offensive line and how much room they cleared for these running backs. You know, they did a great job all night long. You know, you have at least two players, maybe three, with over 100 yards rushing. You know, that's always a good night.
Again, your final score, 47-14. Woodland Hills defeats the Shaler Titans. Folks on the television side, we thank you for joining us no matter where you are across the globe. It's been a fun ride as Woodland Hills opens their home schedule with a 33-point victory, and they got it done in style. 3 backs with over 100 yards rushing today, including Miles Sanders, Jeremiah Jones, and Joel Shaw. A great evening here at the Wolvarena in the lone home non-conference game of the season. We want to thank our television crew here in Turtle Creek, including our executive producer, Larry George III. Larry is also our television director. Our broadcast engineer is Lee Schaefer Jr. Graphic design handled by Joe Slick and Lee Schaefer III. Our webmaster, Lee Schaefer III. Joe Slick handles all of our still photography, especially for our slideshows. Our camera operators, Lee Schaefer III, Joe Slick, Lee Schaefer Jr., and Dan McLean helping us out today as well. Russ Reamer back at WZOM Studios, keeping us on the air. And, of course, my broadcast partner, Fred Guy, and myself, Adam Gusky. Thank you for joining us all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. Again, your final score, Woodland Hills defeating the Shaler Titans 47-14. Folks on the TV side, we'll talk to you next week as Woodland Hills takes on the Baldwin Highlanders. On the radio side, stay tuned for the State Senator Jay Costa post-game show. You've been tuned into the Wolverines and the Titans all across the Woodland Hills Football Network.